Welcome to Demo Day, where young innovators take the stage and showcase real-world projects to a global audience. At WEquil School, students learn to become innovators, teaching each other each week through their creations. WEquil App has thousands of novel and useful projects born out of our students' strengths, interests, and passions. But Demo Day is more than just a presentation. It's a celebration of innovation, collaboration, and the power of young minds. Join us on this incredible journey of inspiration as we witness the next generation of problem solvers and leaders. From Harvard professors to industry experts, our Demo Days attract incredible guest speakers who share their knowledge and ignite curiosity. Whether you're a young innovator looking to showcase your creations or a family seeking an extraordinary learning experience, Demo Day is here for you. Together, let's create a world where young minds flourish, ideas come to life, and innovation knows no boundaries. Join us for an unforgettable journey of learning, growth, and discovery. Welcome to Demo Day.
This is a project called What is an MVP, Minimum Viable Product. You may remember that Chloe actually talked about this during her project, and I wrote this project because we had been kind of making a lot of mistakes on our part in terms of knowing what an MVP was, because we had been trying to use this concept a lot in our own execution with our businesses, but there were some mistakes that we had made. But so first is a minimum viable product is the first version of a product or service that satisfies the essential needs with the goal of testing the viability of your product. And so this is incredibly valuable to evade investing a lot of time and energy into something that users ultimately don't want. And so once you have an MVP, you can gather feedback and direction, as well as finding the core users that appreciate the not very good and simple version of your solution. And so here are a few principles of an MVP that can help you test the viability of your solution. And so first is a clear problem. If you don't have a clearly defined problem, it'll be hard to test whether you've actually created a solution to that problem. And so this might mean foregoing a grandiose vision to actually communicate it simply to that initial set of users. It also will be really hard to get good feedback from your users if they aren't even sure what you're trying to solve. Next is a minimum feature requirement. To create an MVP, you want to actually figure out what is absolutely necessary in order for it to work. And you want to make this as short and simple as possible, because you just can't see the optimal end product by yourself, and adding unnecessary elements to your MVP can make it much harder to actually judge the merit of the idea versus the current user experience of all your half-baked features and tools. Next is simplicity. An MVP should be very simple and easy for users to wrap their head around. This is so they can actually have a clear understanding of what you're trying to achieve and can envision a path in the future. Without simplicity, it can be really hard to get targeted user feedback that is immediately actionable. Next is a data feedback loop. Actions speak much louder than words, especially because people generally don't like being mean and like trying to give you feedback. It can be hard for people to actually be truthful about their experience using your product or service. And so you really want to rely on the actual hard data of how much time are people spending on your product. Are they buying it again? Are they sharing it with their friends? And actually having that feed into how you are iterating on your product and making that a data feedback loop. Lastly is finding your core users. There will always be a bell curve of user response where a few people will hate your product Many people will be in the middle and of just feeling neutral, like, this is all right. And then a few people on the other end will really, really love your product. And so it seems kind of like intuitively that you want to try to aim for the masses, try to target the people in the middle, but actually the key is to really find the core users that love your product even when it isn't that great and make those people even more happy. So there were a few mistakes for us in creating an MVP, where I'll just go through these quickly, but first there was no clear problem. So it was really, really hard for people to actually wrap their head around the problem that we were trying to solve. Next is we had way too many features, and that really clouded the vision of users. So it was really challenging to point out specific feedback. And lastly, is no action-based feedback, and so we were just relying on people to tell us their experience, and that was also had a heavy selection bias of people that were actually even able to get on the platform and tell us how their experience was. And so failures are very important because they help us learn. And we definitely would not have come to where we are without all of the shortcomings and failures that we have gone through. But yeah, so that is my article on what is a minimum viable product. And we have a few students that are also presenting projects unrelated to youth entrepreneurship. But I'm gonna make it so that everyone can turn on their microphone and video. We could have some discussion. So everyone, feel free to jump in.
I like how you were mentioning our mistakes because it makes for very good examples, and it shows that no one's perfect, right?
So one thing, I'm gonna give Sumay a little break. Sumay is actually sick, so I'm gonna try to help her out a little bit. First of all, if you have cameras, please turn them on. One of the things that the girls, they were doing an interview with some kids in public school about what they hated most during the pandemic. And not surprisingly, they said trying to do school over a Zoom call or something with about 30 different blank spaces. And it was just one video of that teacher in the room trying to give a lecture. And so it's just so much more fun to see faces and have everybody be able to engage. We do have 3 other projects that we're going to get to. So I think we want to keep this discussion to about 15 minutes. We might even let the last project, which is a game, stretch over into the meet and greet, because who doesn't want to play games? We'll have a breakout room for anybody that wants to play games instead of just talk to old people like me. So it'll be fun. But let's go ahead and open this up to some questions. Let's stick it to questions for now. Do you have questions for any of the presenters, and then they can respond? Anybody? And let's raise hands because we got a lot of people here. I'll call on folks. There's a little raise hand button in the reactions if you haven't used this before. Any hands?
Or you can just raise a physical hand.
Or hey, actually, I'll let Nicole Costier go first because she's the parent of the daughter Chloe here, who you all may not know. And she likes to put her daughter under pressure. Just kidding. So go ahead, Nicole. Do you want to introduce yourself briefly and then go ahead and ask your question?
Hey, everybody. It's good to see so many new people here. It's actually just a wonderful opportunity for the kids to present in front of more people. Chloe and I were talking at breakfast. Chloe, you remember, she was actually noting herself about how nervous she was presenting before WEquil, and now she's just presenting every week, and it's
Yeah, I had like a little story that was like I used to be I had so much stage fright, and I heard that I had to have like a speech I'm homeschooled. I didn't think I had to have any speeches, but my mom told me I had to have a speech after some kind of milestone. And now, like, after I finished 6th grade or something, and I was like, I am not doing that speech. No, not ever. And right now, I'm like,
Yeah.
so at the speech.
Yeah, so maybe I'll ask any of the presenters. You know, a lot of times when people think about businesses or starting their own businesses, they think about it in terms of, you know, wanting a successful business. Can you guys talk a little bit about that concept of a successful business, or do you even use that concept as you think about starting something new? And if you do, how do you define it for yourself?
I can jump in here. I would say that for us, I think the main thing that we kind of knew that we would get out of starting our business is knowing that we would get like probably the best education possible by actually trying to start something new. And I think especially for kids, the real goal is not money, but the experience. And so I would say, like, maybe as an adult, if you're trying to make this your main source of income, then there is like more of a real factor of like, does it actually work out or not? But I would say for kids, it's kind of like the money aspect is just having experience with that, knowing what it's like, actually knowing that if you create value, you can get paid for it. But the real success that comes out of it is, do you have that, you know, experience of that learning experience of starting a business. But Isla or Chloe, you guys can jump in if you want.
Yeah, well, I think a successful business kind of depends on you. I know positive pooch sitting has been a success. But if I had a few less clients, that wouldn't change that. I mean, I think you have to be able to at least make some money, but really if you're enjoying it and if you feel like it was a success for you, if it was not a waste of time for you, then that's a successful business.
Sure.
I think that's one of the reasons why we're talking about entrepreneurship is because kids have so much freedom to actually try things, and they don't have the pressure of money. And really, the money thing is like an afterthought. It's really not the focus at all. Some of you are from the new Innovator Families group, originally called the entrepreneurial families group, but that word was throwing people off the way that we were using it in our own little bubble before we could find more folks that were like, oh my goodness, they do exist, like that M&M commercial when they see Santa Claus. You know, in our own home, we were talking about that, using it more about like the values and the virtues of entrepreneurs that I had been working with for a long time, that willingness to try something new, to put yourself out there, just like on demo day, frankly. So even though, you know, it may seem like it's really far off and, you know, oh, making money, it's like, that's not really the point. It's like, how do we help our kids grow to become confident and curious and learn to fail well and ask questions, take feedback? Like, that's the exciting part for Mom and I, has been the whole time. So, but any other questions? Oh, I see Aquinas. So that's what you look like. Okay. Come on in here, dude. Just briefly introduce yourself, and then feel free to ask a question. Go for it, man.
My name is Aquinas Hurd. My background is I owned a gymnastics center for 20 years, owned an elementary school for 2 years. I've also taught gymnastics online. And then right now I'm working with a couple of gentlemen to create a gaming/learning app focused on animal classification. And that's to help instill an inductive approach to gaining knowledge for kids. That's me.
Welcome. Yeah, do you want to share a question to the group, or?
Well, I just came in late, so I was only able to see the last of this presentation.
I can ask one. You
Okay.
push it over to me.
Okay.
So one question I had, now Isla mentioned the importance of passion driven. And I can see that being fairly self-evident to kids, because again, we don't want to, like, kids shouldn't feel pressure to try to do something for money. You know, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But do you think that that applies also to adults that are very much feeling pressured to make money? And you know, keep in mind that a lot of these adults do need to make money. So the passion driven might, to some folks, feel, I don't know, a little pie in the sky, but feel free to push back on me and just share your own views here.
On the passion driven.
I wasn't asking you, man. You're old, like me. This is the kids demo, but don't worry. Afterward, we get to have the adult meet and greet, and all the kids can jump in and play Tristan's game. But I was aiming that at Isla, and then Chloe,
Sorry.
feel free to also respond to that if you want.
Well, if I think with it's more about passion for adults. Like with kids, it's best to like come up with an idea of a business, and then you can, if you get bored, then that's fine. You could just start on another business if you want. And so that's more like interest, like more not so deep into your beliefs. But with adults, I think that it needs to be more long-term passion driven, because if it's not, then it's probably, then you're going to get bored, right? But I think, yeah, it does apply with adults, especially because you need to make money, right? That's the top priority. But you should want it to be passion driven. You want it to be passion driven because it is a lot of work to start a business and have it successful, and well, successful as in makes lots of money and scales if you need it to. And so but it's a lot of work to do that. And so if it's not passion driven, if you don't really believe in it, then it's going to make it a lot easier for it to just crumble and die. So that's my opinion.
I would definitely agree with Isla. I would say that, you know, starting a business, that if you're trying to make an actual viable business, then that is very, very hard. And when you're at the end of the day, when everyone is questioning you and you're questioning yourself, and the only reason why you're doing what you're doing is because you want to make money, and even that isn't working, you're going to give up. And so if it is something that you're passionate about, then that'll provide that source of motivation to get you through the times where it's just hard and things aren't working, and you have to just keep pushing and keep working until it does. And so I would say that that is definitely as important for adults as it is for kids. If you're doing something more innovative, if you're just starting a business that is more like kind of boilerplate, you know, just like making a laundromat that's like, you know, it's the same process for all of them across the board, I would say that that probably isn't the case. But if you're doing something innovative like a startup, then it definitely makes sense to find something that you're passionate about. Justin, you can come in if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I'm backing you guys up on the passion driven. There's an idea that you guys probably look up later. There's a number of people who've written on it. But it's the idea of like a missionary versus a mercenary. So a mercenary is like going after the money. They're accomplishing the mission, but they're going after the money. The missionary is going. The mission is first. And that's what their goal is. So something you may want to go look up later if you're curious about that kind of idea. But you talked about the value in creating your products, and you mentioned it before, Sumay, that when you were teaching your classes, you were not just you set the price, but your end goal wasn't just to make the money; it was also to the learning process. So which I guess kind of comes down to what the value of doing that is to you. And it's partially shown by money, it's partially shown by what you're going to learn from it. So I was just wondering if everybody could define what they view as the definition of value.
It's funny because we actually had that same topic this morning when we had Dr. Nisha Talagala on. Isla and I did an interview with her that we put out this week as well. Given that, with AI and tools like ChatGPT, now we have to question value a lot more as well. But a couple of things that my dad mentioned on the podcast was like either like the utility or the scarcity of something. So I thought that was like two metrics that are pretty important.
One thing you could talk about is actually, can I talk for a second?
Sure.
So one thing that Isla mentioned during that podcast was some of the advantages of being a kid. And, because like some of the guys that are here, you all haven't met. I've been talking to them on this podcast. It's more geared towards old people, ed tech entrepreneurs. But we don't necessarily get the benefit of the doubt. So like, people aren't lined up to help us and be gracious when when the product or service that we're providing isn't very good. But one thing that Isla was talking about is like use the fact that you're a young person and that people really want to help you. And I think that might be a really useful thing to talk about a bit, Isla, in terms of the encouragement that, of course, young people want in order for them to feel like they are allowed to stand up and to try to do something bigger. I just thought what you said was really powerful, and maybe if you could elaborate on a little bit of that for folks that didn't hear that already.
Well, I think that kids should believe that they can do things that can add value, even if they're just a kid, and that can also add value to not only other kids' lives but also adults, and that them being a kid may affect it in some ways, like what I said before in the article, like not having a lot of resources, but they can still add a lot of value if they put their mind to it and if they have the tools to accomplish that.